how'd the day shape up, Lisa?
Good evening, Scott. You know, we're not halfway through the session yet, but Governor Deal called it a fine time to meet with reporters in his office. He wanted to talk about tax reform, the adoption bill, and his wife. First up, updating the Internal Revenue Code.
She's feeling the effects, though. She's tired this morning, and that's unusual for her.
Unusual for Sandra Deal because she spends at least 3 to 4 days a week traveling around the state, visiting schools, reading to the children. After being delayed last week, today the House approved the 2018 mid-year spending plan to adjust the budget by about $300 million for the current fiscal year, which ends on June 30th. And as you know, this is the first step in working on the 2019 budget.
This year,
in the end, the House approved the amended budget on a vote of 167 to 8. It now goes on to the Senate for review. Also tonight, an update on the Regional Transportation Plan as proposed in the Senate. Under the plan, MARTA would operate all transit systems in the metro areas. In return, those counties would be allowed to collect a new 1% sales tax for transit. Senate Bill 386, sponsored by Senator Brandon Beach, would also consolidate transit planning and construction for Metro Atlanta under a new Georgia Regional Transportation Agency. The bill is the first transportation plan offered this year, but we're also expecting the House to announce their own plan later this week. That's it from the Capitol tonight, Scott. Another busy day under the Gold Dome. Back to you.
And we began with Capitol correspondent Lisa Rayam, who has news on the new adoption law. Hi, Lisa.
Good evening to you, Scott. A groundbreaking moment in the Capitol today as Governor Nathan Deal signed into law a new adoption bill for the state of Georgia. HB 159 is the first change to state code in 30 years, and today the governor stood in the North Wing to celebrate.
Today, we are taking a step.
Representative Reeves has served in the House for 4 years now. For the last 3, he has been pushing for adoption reform. It has affected him so deeply that now he and his wife are considering adopting a child or fostering one. Next up, the budget for the 2019 fiscal year, a spending plan that goes into effect July 1st of this year. We may see that later this week. The city of Stockbridge is one step closer to losing a large portion of its boundaries to the new city of Eagles Landing. This after the House voted today to approve Senate Bill 262. The bill would de-annex several developments from Stockbridge and create a new city of Eagles Landing with about 17,000 residents. Stockbridge leaders say the bill will also remove a number of businesses along Highway 138 and would take up to 50% of its tax revenue. If the governor signs the bill, residents in the affected areas will get to vote on whether they want to be part of the new city of Eagles Landing. Finally tonight, much of the action here under the Gold Dome this week is in committee hearings where the fate of hundreds of bills will be decided. For example, the Senate Public Safety Committee started reviewing several bills that passed in the House. Once legislation clears one chamber, it starts all over again in the other chamber. You know the routine. A bill must be approved in both the House and the Senate before it can become law. So, Scott, that's it from the Capitol for now. But when we come back, we get a chance to talk with First Lady Sandra Deal. She was kicking off our annual Read Across Georgia month, but it's also the first time we've seen her since she found out she had breast cancer and began her chemo treatment. So a real interesting story coming up.
Oh, we'll get back to that, but how's the First Lady doing?
She appears to be doing very well. She looked beautiful. She appeared to have a lot of energy, and she says treatments are going well. So more from her soon.
Fox 5 News at noon starts right now.
Breaking news out of Atlanta, where police are investigating a double murder. Good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Lisa Rayam. Right now, police are on the scene of that double murder on Baker Road in Atlanta. Police tell us both victims were stabbed to death inside a home there. Fox 5's Angelique Proctor live at the scene of this breaking news. Another wild week on the campaign trail is coming to an end. Donald Trump finally getting over the delicate hump, putting to bed months of speculation about a contested GOP convention. And Hillary Clinton tries to break free of Bernie Sanders in the face of a scathing Inspector General's report. Fox's Joe Waldman has the story from Washington. As the battle over funding to fight the Zika virus heats up on Capitol Hill, the director of the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has offered a grim assessment of America's readiness, predicting it will be at least a year or two before we know if the Zika vaccine is actually safe and effective. Fox's Peter Ducey has more from Washington. President Obama making history today by becoming the first sitting U.S. president to visit Hiroshima, Japan, and marking the atomic bomb attack there more than 70 years ago that led to the end of the world's deadliest war. While the visit has been welcomed by some, it has also generated controversy. Fox's Doug Luzader has a story from the World War II Memorial. Oh, I am so looking forward to this weekend. It's going to be beautiful, and the pool, there's lots of jazz concerts out there to take part in. It's going to be a great weekend, right? Yeah.
The Republican race for governor.
Good evening. Welcome to the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young debate series, originating from the studios of GPB. I'm Lisa Rayam, news correspondent with Georgia Public Broadcasting. This is the debate among Republican candidates for governor of Georgia. So let's meet the candidates. Now, to start the evening, each candidate will be asked a question by a specific panelist. So we begin with Charles Richardson. You get the first question of Hunter Hill. Amanda Ramirez, Casey Cagle has been waiting patiently to hear from you.
Lieutenant Governor, you have...
Excuse me, Mr. Tippins, please get to your question.
What we can get done is crush sex trafficking, get our kids reading, cut our taxes. My question is actually for the people of Georgia. Will you stand with me?
Please address one of the candidates in this round.
My question is for the people of Georgia. I think that's more important. I'm tired of the political games.
Moving on, Brian Kemp. Please question one of the candidates. Casey Cagle, I see it in your eyes. You would like to respond, wouldn't you?
Obviously, I do.
Being that this is such an important issue today, I'd like to ask all candidates to weigh in on this very important issue. The goal is to be fair here, so we're asking you all to please stick to the time constraints. Please. Mr. Cagle, 20 seconds.
Well, more database.
Thank you so much this evening. That concludes our debate. We like to remind voters that the primary election will be held on Tuesday, May 22nd, right around the corner, and early voting ends May 18th. Our thanks to all of the candidates and to our panel.